Hello again, college football fans. I want to talk to you today about the Music City Bowl, which will be coming up December 28th. It's the second bowl in the day that will be including an SEC team that day. And it's your Tennessee Volunteers versus the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, Purdue had a great season in terms of upsets this year. They had two big upsets, one over Iowa and one over Michigan State, and both of those teams were ranked in the top 5 at the time, which is quite a feather in the cap of the Boilermakers. But I think, like I said in one of my earlier videos, that's sort of a role that is familiar to the Purdue Boilermakers up there in the Big Ten. They are one of those tough outs, especially if it's an interdivisional matchup and if you have to go to their place. It's one of those conference games that's never going to get a lot of attention and it's never going to be high profile, but they do manage to knock off their fair share of big-time, heavily favored opponents up there in Lafayette. And, that's just one of those things. Some schools just have certain spirits to them, and Purdue definitely has that giant killer kind of spirit about them, but they're never a giant themselves. And they will be running up against a team that desperately wants to be a giant again, and for most of its history was used to being up in the top reaches of programs in college football, and that's the Tennessee Volunteers. But everybody knows they've been in a pretty bad rut for a much longer time than I think anyone anticipated when it started, and certainly a much longer time than Vol Nation has had any patience for, and who can blame them? But it seems like there might be, for the first time in a long time, a light at the end of the tunnel in the name of Josh Heupel for the Volunteers up there. And I was one of the first people to jump on the Heupel bandwagon and talk about what a great job he was doing up there. Just in terms of basic preparedness, you could tell that this Tennessee team had a different look early on, and they went on into the season and proved that by getting some big wins. The Kentucky win was huge. They just blew past teams like Missouri and South Carolina in their own division to kind of show them that, hey, we've been down and you may have gotten your licks in over the last decade and a half now, but we're coming back, and when we have a breath at all, this is what we should be doing to you guys. And so I really love what Heupel's doing up there at Tennessee, but I don't like their chances in this bowl game. I think Purdue has proven that they can score a lot of points and they can hang with just about anybody in the country up there in the Big Ten. And Tennessee can score a lot of points, but their defense has definitely been the albatross for them this year, and it's certainly still suspect. And in a bowl game situation, I don't expect it to be any suddenly tighter than it was during the season. But that being said, I do believe that both of these offenses are going to show out in this game, and it's going to be a shootout and a little bit of a high-scoring one at that. But I like, in the end, Purdue to just edge out Tennessee by a couple of points, and I like the final score in this one to be 42-40, Purdue over Tennessee. Thank you.